Welcome. I'm glad you tuned in to the first video of the series, which will be a step-by-step roadmap as I develop my newest game, Rescue. I'll share with you how easy it is to develop your own game in 2025. If you have ever dreamed of making your own video game, 2025 is the best time in history to get started. The hardest part is to actually start. Well, it's harder to finish, but that topic will be covered much later in this series. For now, it's just a short video. I'm going to share some resources, tips, and tricks as part of a roadmap that will cover concept to launch, things that I've learned the hard way. Hopefully it'll help you out. Designing your first game will be a journey. You'll make decisions as you move from concept to launch for your project. I know, you just want to jump right into the fun stuff. It's way more exciting to see things come to life in the game immediately. For my first few games, I made that mistake too. I jumped right into the Unity editor before considering any decisions that might be needed. In fact, I didn't even know the right questions to ask. So I made a ton of mistakes. This caused frustration and slowed down my process. I plan to use what I learned from those mistakes and do things differently for Rescue. I'll share my new plan in this and future devlogs. I hope you join me if you think you can learn from my mistake. So grab a cup of coffee and your inspiration, and let's get started. I'll cover 5 main questions. You may want to think about these questions early. Take some time to consider and answer these questions before you even open Unity's editor, and your journey to success will be a lot easier. Trust me. When I started my new game Rescue, I considered these 5 questions. Why do you want to design your own game? Which game engine should you use? What kind of game do you want to make? How do I even get started? When do I need a Steam page or a website, social media, YouTube, all that stuff? We've got a lot to get into, so let's get started. Okie dokie, this is an important step, so be honest with yourself. Why do you want to design a game? The answer to this question will determine your journey. Do you just want to design a game because you love being creative? Or is money more important to you? Will game design be a hobby or a profession? If your answer is, I just want to play around, have some fun, and still have time to relax occasionally, that is a perfect answer to this question, and you'll find that it is surprisingly easy to design games in 2025. When your goal is to have creative freedom to make the game that you love, just for fun or as a hobby, there are no wrong answers, and as long as you're having fun, you have achieved success. It'll be fun and easy to design a game because there are several game engines that are free and easy to use. As long as you have a computer and internet, you can find numerous tutorials, supportive communities, AI generative tools, and various game assets for your game, and many of these are free. As an added bonus, any amount of money that your game makes is a reward. In my personal opinion, this is the best and most rewarding reason to want to become an indie game developer in 2025. If your answer is, I want to quit my job and get rich quick, I'd advise you to do some research, get a realistic idea of the requirements to make that happen. Very few games go viral and become an overnight success. Most game developers make numerous games that fade into obscurity before they are a successful hit. Okie dokie, now, if your answer is, I want to become a professional game developer and make it my career, I'd say go for it. Game design is a highly rewarding career, but you must have a realistic vision of your journey. When you rely on game sales to pay your bills, you must get serious, drill down to the core of things, and understand that when things go wrong, and they will, or you have delays, and you will, then the consequences are far more serious. I'd advise taking some time to reflect on this question. Be honest with yourself. Your reason for designing a game and how you define success will determine your journey more than any other decision. There are no wrong answers. If you want to design games as a hobby, just have fun, your goal is to spend a couple hours a week just tinkering around creating something cool, then that is a perfectly great reason to design games. If you want to be a professional, make it a career, then that's okay too. But realize that if you depend on game sales to pay your bills, then it'll require far more time, far more effort to meet your goals.
I worked in a bunch of art forms. It is the most difficult art form I've ever worked in, times 1,000. If I write Enter Jim in my game, it's concept art, it's character modeling, it's rigging, it's animation sets. It's, oh my God, turns out Jim's a terrible character. Well, too bad, right? You better fix it.
Okie dokie, Ken, please don't sugarcoat things, but he does speak the truth. If you depend on game design as a career, you'll need to understand the industry and the risk.
But, if you can marginalize your risk in any way, right now there's so many tools, there's so many ways to meet people, to do stuff. It's just coming in for a job interview, if you've done something, if you've done a mod, you've done a project, you're going to be way ahead because you know what it's like to ship something without having to risk your whole life on it.
So if your goal is to become a professional game designer, maybe you want to make that a long-term goal. Start off designing games for fun as a hobby and build experience and a portfolio as Ken Levine has suggested. As long as you know why you want to make a game, you'll know how to realistically define your expectations for success and you will reach your destination. My journey as a game designer developer started long ago designing educational games for a paycheck. I was not happy. I didn't have creative freedom to do what I wanted to do. I decided to make a change. I just wanted the freedom to create a game that I wanted to play. So now I design games for fun, just a hobby. Okie dokie, now that you know why you want to design a game, I bet your next question is which game engine should you use? Well, that can be an easy or a hard question. There are hundreds of videos out there discussing pros and cons of all the available choices, so much so it'll make your head explode. But here's a quick comparison of 3 popular game engines that I consider: Unity 3D, Unreal Engine, and Godot. All 3 now offer free versions for game developers who are just getting started. All 3 have extensive documentation and support communities. You can find online courses and tutorials for all 3 engines. So, how do you decide which one to use? Well, after watching numerous tutorials on this, I'll summarize a few considerations for each engine to help you get started. Many developers indicate that Unity is easier to learn and perfect for indie developers and smaller projects. To be honest, I think that statement really depends on the game that you are creating within Unity. Unity provides numerous tools and assets to help create any game you can dream up. However, if you want to develop a AAA quality for high-end PCs, a realistic game using HDRP, well, it's going to be a lot more difficult than maybe using URP, and a lot more complicated than using drag-and-drop tools or templates to create a quick, simple game. In other words, the devil's in the details. A really important consideration is the programming language, or at least it was for me. I'm a coder. You might not be. There's other resources for that if you're not. That's okay. Unity does provide visual coding tools, but I prefer to write my own code. It's like solving problems, and I'm a scientist, so problem solving is something that I love to do. Unity uses C#. C# automatically handles memory management, such as allocating, deallocating memory, garbage collection, and helps you identify and avoid memory leaks. I know how to program in C#. So this was a big consideration for me in choosing a game engine. Much of the information I found on Unreal Engine indicates that Unreal excels in high-end graphics and performance, making it perfect for AAA games and more complex projects. However, Unity 6 has closed that gap on the difference in my opinion. Some resources indicate that Unreal is better suited to teams with 10 or more people, AA, AAA studios, and not recommended for indie developers or especially solo developers. However, with their new blueprints, I think they are trying to follow Unity's business model and become more accommodating to indie developers and small teams. Unreal uses C++ programming language. Both C# and C++ are derived from C, and they have similar syntax. According to Code Academy, C++ code is more performant, but C++ will compile any code if the syntax is correct, even code that might damage the OS or hardware, so it's important to understand that. C# will notify you when code may cause issues. As I mentioned before, C# will automatically handle your garbage collection and C++ does not. Coders who are new to C++ need to take action to prevent memory leaks. So, you might need to be a more experienced coder if you plan to use Unreal and C++. However, Unreal also provides visual coding tools for non-programmers. Godot is open source and many indie devs like to support open source systems. At the time I started, Godot was not stable, but that is not the case now. Some resources I found indicate that Godot is the least effective if you want to make realistic 3D games with large performance demands. Some devs prefer Godot for developing 2D games. The most up-to-date version of Godot provides a visual programming tool for non-programmers. If you prefer to write your own code, Godot uses GDScript and C++. Of course, there are numerous other game engines to choose from that I did not cover here. Most offer free versions or free trials. So yeah, I heard you. I didn't answer that question for you, did I? So which game engine should you use? First, ask yourself, what kind of game am I making? Do you want to write your own code? Which programming language do you prefer? Then, if you're still undecided, I'd recommend giving all of them a go. Since most game engines offer a free version, all it takes is a bit of your time. Download them, play around with them a bit, see which one you like, which one is best suited for the game that you want to make, and which one has the tools and resources that you need. Okay, so you want to know which one I chose? Well, when I started in game design, Unity was free, Unreal was not, and Godot was unstable. I knew how to program in C#. Easy peasy. I chose Unity, and I've remained loyal to them. I'm using Cinti low-poly assets for Rescue, so I'll use Unity 6 URP, and this how-to roadmap video series will cover concept to launch for Rescue using Unity. So if you're interested, please like and subscribe to follow along. Okie dokie, let's move on. The next question is also a big one. What kind of game do you want to make? Well, genre really matters.
Genre really matters. You can make a really fun game, but if the Steam players don't like that type of game, they will not buy it. No matter how cool it is, no matter how many weird tricks you do, genre is the most important thing.
The genre is probably the first indication of what your gameplay will be like for your player. I mean, without having to go into great detail with a lengthy description. Trust me, people always ask, what genre is your game? How are you going to answer that? I don't know. It's not an easy answer. Classifications change, they overlap, trends change. Many argue there is no pure genre anymore. Some games don't fit perfectly into any one genre or any genre at all, so modern games tend to blend genres. So if genre is so important and so complicated, how do you tell people what genre your game is? How do you even choose a genre for your game? If your answer to why you want to make a game is money, then you need to do some research on which genres make the most money on your chosen platform. For instance, Chris has some great statistics for genres preferred by Steam gamers if you are targeting Steam. For more information, you can visit his link below. My answer to that question is, I want to design the game for fun, not money. It's a hobby, not a job. For me, sales are not everything. So I can choose whatever genre I love to play. No matter your reason for making games, your game design journey will be more enjoyable if you choose a genre you love to play and that you are familiar with. So, after all that rambling and research, I still had a hard time answering the question everyone asks, what genre is your game? I just know it has all the mechanics and features of the games that I love to play. So I decided to look at Steam's classifications for the games that I love to play. The most prevalent commonality is RPG. Even within RPG, though, there are sub-classifications. Looking at the classification tags and descriptions for the games that I love to play helped me get a better understanding of where Rescue would fit into Steam's audience and the genre that I want to target. I know that I like combat more than I like puzzles, so I like action more than I like adventure, but I do like a few puzzles. So for now, I'm classifying it as an action RPG with third-person shooter feature. You will play your game more hours than you ever care to. You'll grow to hate your game, even if you love your game, and you'll probably never finish the game if you hate the genre. After you choose a genre for your game, you still need to know what kind of game you plan to make regarding the content and the gameplay experience. For Rescue, I analyzed all the games I love to play, I identified things I love and things I dislike about those games. I made a list of mechanics and features that I'm passionate about. Then I created a spreadsheet listing all of the resources and tools and assets that I already have in my arsenal, or things that I might need to buy to complete the game that I want to make. So you'll find that Rescue is heavily influenced by the games that I love. I love guns.
Gun rhymes with fun for a reason, stranger.
You can't have enough guns. They are fun to shoot, mechanically interesting, and highly collectible and customizable. It's actually the first thing on my to-do list. Guns, 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 and more guns. I also love blowing things up. I really love it when I can interact with the game's environment and see consequences to my actions. For example, use one bullet, shoot one enemy, boring. Use one bullet, shoot a propane tank, kill 5 nearby enemies that go boom. Gotta love that, right? Unless I make a poor choice in my cover and set myself on fire. And I love magic. I mean, magic's just pretty, right? Oh, and of course, also soothes the inner pyromaniac in my nature when I get to set things on fire. I love adrenaline-inducing, heart-pounding action, and the dark humor, sarcastic wit, and the extreme violence of Fallout. I also love games that have great story, hard choices, and that invoke strong emotions. Now I have something concise to put into Rescue's GDD. Rescue will be an exciting combat-centric action RPG with tons of third-person shooter action, with rich story, complex characters you'll either love or hate, and hard moral choices. So now, you've answered the question why you want to make a game, and you've decided on a game engine, and you've decided on your genre, then you're probably pretty serious about moving forward with creating an amazing new game. Okie dokie, that was a journey. Thank you to everyone who stayed with me until the end. It really helps make YouTube think I'm interesting and worthy. Hopefully some of the things that I've learned the hard way will help you. I've provided some links below. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel if you want to go along on this journey with me. My primary focus is my day job and game development. Don't give up on me when the devlogs are few and far between. I'll get there when I have something interesting to show. For now, I'm always interested in learning from others. Please feel free to comment below. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.